Man, so many challenges. So, but the worst was the, the embarrassments, especially about the color stuff. But at the end of the day, I just realized, like Bangkok, they already used to that. But
Yes.
when it came to other remote
Overseas,
areas,
yeah,
like
local areas.
yeah, local areas it's strange. But fortunately for me, my first job, I was the first black person there, so it was hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard, but along the as time went on, I worked there for about 4 to 5 years. So they actually understood guys like that. It's like this. It's not color. It's not that. I'm like, okay. Until they were able to like embrace me.
Yeah, you see. Yeah. Yeah,
So many challenges,
yeah,
man.
sometimes I feel like most of the things they do is not like act of bias or hatred. It's act of ignorance.
Ignorance.
Yeah,
I got that.
Do you know sometimes they haven't met a black person, they haven't had a friend with a black person.
Yeah.
They haven't really had the opportunity to hear our own side of the story.
So yeah,
So sometimes we cannot really blame them. I was talking to one other person who was complaining of the same situation. That,
okay.
he was on the bus and one girl was covering her nose, you know. And I said, you can't really blame her, Maybe it was her first time meeting a black person. And she must have heard from the news or from friends that black people actually stinks a lot.
That mentality.
And with the preconceived idea in her head, that it might pushes her to behave that way.
It's always about that. Like at the end of the day, you come to understand they're just ignorant.
Exactly.
Yeah, even though let's not forget some are kind of racist too.
No, they are.
They are. They are like not all of them. Some of them they deliberately don't like. They do it on purpose. But when you meet someone who doesn't know nothing, at the end of the day, you explain. They're so interested to know. At the end of the day, they can touch you. After you have good color.
Exactly,
like okay, smart.
When I was in China, I had a friend who had a kind of like negative attitude towards black people, and what he explained was, we've heard from our media that you guys are starving, that Africa is like a dead planet, and you people don't have food to eat, and we the Chinese help you guys a lot. I was like, come, let me give you some education. it's not what you think.
That's crazy, man.
I was like, don't you know that Africa has billionaires? Man, don't you know that?
Enough.
And have you seen cars in Africa? Come, let's search on the internet and see. So I was able to re-educate that guy until he became my very best friend. You see, it was like, wow, it means we have been misled by our media,
So I'm going to have to ask, so the same mentality, we have that in China too?
Yeah, it's like all of Asia. All of Asia.
I see. I've never been to China before, so I'm surprised I know Chinese people are everywhere, so I think they should already be used to this stuff,
China before was a very closed society. You know? Yeah. They just opened the country recently that people are allowed to travel free. And they used to be very poor people. They couldn't even afford to travel.
Damn.
But since they have been so hardworking, they've tried to better up their situation, and now they can really travel. Most of them are really getting a lot of education when they travel. But when they are in their country, what their media tell them is quite different. Okay, so they have a very negative idea about black people.
Man,
so
that's a
we
problem.
just hope that if you meet someone with someone very ignorant about black people, try your best to re-educate that person. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. That's true.
And so let's move on. Okay, you've already explained how you got the job, right? You actually bought the job.
I bought the job.
When you arrived in the school, did you face some challenges like integrating yourself with the Thai society? And at that time, I understand that you were unable to speak the language, right?
Yeah.
So how difficult was it for you to communicate with your students, the staffs?
It was a big challenge, and us Africans, we I don't know, maybe Africans as a whole, but me personally, I'm a very impatient person, So sometimes you can explain some things to kids, they don't understand. You feel like want to hit, It's like, what? Can't you get it? 1 + 1? Man, come on. These things, we learn these stuff back home, but I kept on calling a friend of mine. He has been here before me, so he told me like, hey man, when you're teaching these kids, take it from the base. Like you're learning A, B, C. I'm like, so This is how it's gonna be. So I faced that with the kids, but the kids part wasn't really a problem that much.
Yeah.
My colleagues, Thai, never worked with a foreign, a black person before. So most of them, I would say, like we had 12 teachers, about 8 were racist. I would say racist. They were not ignorant. Yeah. Only the person that kept me in the school that I kept on working there was my boss, because he has traveled.
Oh.
He's been traveling out, so he's already used to foreigners. But the teachers were like, sometimes when they see you coming, you want to sit down and eat. Everybody leaves.
Oh, that's really bad. That's really
And
bad.
when they go to the classrooms, they actually make the students to hate you. Like, hey, you see the black guy outside is coming to teach. Make sure he doesn't touch any of you. Like, So sometimes I understood that later on when, okay, take for example, the time Ebola came out.
Yeah.
It was a very maybe you're walking, oh, Ebola, like because you're black. Because it came from Africa, like, so they say.
Yeah.
So one day I understood these teachers were the ones coaching the students to hate me, because I entered the class one day and I was writing on the board and the student shouted, Ebola. Man, I was like, this one, I kept cool,
Yeah.
He said that once, twice, thrice. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm ready to go back home right now.
Yeah.
So I say,
Come
hey,
here,
come over here, come over here. So when I did that, I was mad. And that teacher, she was like the head teacher of that class.
Yeah.
She was outside. So he cried and went out and told the teacher, oh, this. So I told the teacher, I just followed him. I said, hey, teacher, you know what? Because he was threatening to call his parents to school. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to tell the director, the boss, what happened. So when she heard me, I was going to tell the director. She got skeptical. I was like telling the student, no, go back, don't worry. So I told the student, no, we are going to the PO's office. We call the directors PO, in there. So when they heard PO, he was scared. His tears just dried up. So when I insisted, he said it clear to me, like, it's the teacher who has been telling them to call me Ebola. So I looked at her, I'm like, now I understand why you were telling the student to go back, because you're trying to hide it. I said, no, I'm not going to leave it. So I stood up to her. I was almost about to give her a slap, but I just kept my cool. I went to the director's office. I explained it. He called a meeting that day. So at that meeting, I don't know, in my mind, I was like, man, whatever happens. Maybe he wants to let me go, no problem. Instead, he scolded all the teachers like, see, this guy is the same like you. He has a heart. You're treating him like you're having a heart. He's black. He has a heart. You have blood. He has blood. So what's the difference? So he got mad and threatened them. I said, anybody that annoys me in this school will get it hot from him. I think that's the day things got easy for me. Since that day, like everyone relaxed and, so the challenge is before, man. If sometimes when I think about it, sometimes I shed tears, because I can't imagine me. Nobody will call me Ebola in Cameroon. Are you mad, man? We'll get into a fight, right? So, but you come in here like they calling you Ebola, you black, you dirty, man.
I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues in the other studio, and I made a point like, so I don't want to sound racist or a kind of nationalistic person, right?
Yep.
But I just want to point out that the way we, the Africans, we are being treated by the rest of the race is quite different, like the whites and the Asians, right?
Totally
it's
different.
Really, like they really underlook us,
A lot, man.
And take for example, COVID-19 came out, what they call it Corona before, right?
Yep.
And the people were like, oh, let's be sympathetic and let's try to understand it with the Chinese and let's not be racist to them. Even the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs were also shouting that people should not be racist, and that the rest of the world is trying to play racism.
Yeah.
But do you remember when Ebola started in Africa? We were like blacklisted from going anywhere.
Yes, I remember that.
Stopped us from going anywhere.
I remember
but when
that.
it became the time of like China, everyone like, no, let's cut them
slack. Give them slack.
Let's try to help them recover. You know what happened recently? Now that China has managed to spread the virus all over the world, and like Italy is fighting. Spain is also fighting, and even US right now is
fighting.
the
Some serious
highest
shit
infected
right now.
country in the world.
Yeah.
China said we are going to close our doors because we don't want you guys to infect us.
They're smart.
Yeah, officially they said it. The Ministry of is it Foreign Affairs they call it?
Yeah.
Make a press release and said that we are going to close our borders and nobody is going to come in because now we want to try.
But they started it.
Yeah, that was, and they were the one shouting that the world is playing racism because when people were trying to put some restrictions in place and they were like, oh no, you guys are being racist. I'm not against any country trying to protect its citizens, right?
Yeah.
My point is we should like level the playing field and make everything equal, let's see. Because my point is just like if this corona was in Africa, then would have been stopped from traveling anywhere from
anywhere, for sure.
You see, so that's just the thing.
But we will never get justice for that, no matter what happens.